There's never a good time for this, but we can sit down and watch more Higurashi. Try to enjoy our weekend, at least get it over with and see exactly where everything goes wrong. Considering this arc is once again going over quite a... well, they're all a little dark, but some of them hit closer than others. I kind of hope that Sadako's story goes a lot differently, but to what degree and what end, and would it be any better? It's a wild cavalcade of disaster, really. But should be fun to watch. I do hope Rika actually gets involved and tries to change anything. Grab a drink before we start, because we're about to dive in.
Is there some weird chromatic aberration on that image?
Yes.
That's an amazing gait that he had just then running across.
We've seen something similar to this. What a weird dream. I wonder where that came from. It felt so realistic. But if we have glimpses of the past breaking through once again, I'm going to be happy about that. Partly because, well, if it means that Keiichi, the one who can break through fate and everything himself, can see what happened, maybe he'll get a head start. But then again, considering how everything has gone so far in this season, it's just going to fail anyway. I do wonder if there will be a complete shift away. Like, they go through and get the group, the mob ready to respond against the uncle, and they fix it all just for it to snap back into a different ending of an arc. Like with Rena's father, just out of nowhere. Or father's new girlfriend thing. Did everyone make it in time? Has the teacher received word of anything? And does she, well, considering family standings, does she know anything that's going on? So why she just sat? Also, considering what we know of Rika, how bored does she get of school, considering she's learnt the same few lessons for 100 years or so? Yeah, that's what she's upset about. The fun thing is that... oh yeah, P. The fun thing is that
they have had a successful stage of getting her free. So she knows it can be done. Any reason why you're hanging around schools? With no adults to intervene or be present to these questions. Don't you know the proper procedure for all of this, considering you're Mr. Policeman? There's probably a few people lining up for that position. And they're just going to, while Katie was being a little cagey about it, well, they've actually paid attention. They know who he is. I mean, there have been times where he has been a little edgy as a detective, a little curious. He really just does swing between being like really helpful and a little, you're a police detective, how the hell did you get that job? Good thing Irie was around to at least just tell him to back off. He knows how to manhandle people. Part of the police training. Which means there's a history, and I'm guessing, was it over the parents thing there? Until the aunt went missing, same with the Satoshi. Although the aunt didn't go missing, she was disposed of. Didn't they say it was like some random drifter who came in and did it? That's who they pinned the crime on. And considering the circumstances, yes, it would be important to make sure they don't go through it again. Some random drifter. But is this something that you would just go around and tell everyone? Especially like a new transfer student. Sure, he's a friend, but isn't it kind of rather personal that you might not want to go spreading around to people? But we can't always be so distrustful of the good police officer. After all, he's part of the Soul Brothers. But yeah, the fact that Mion kind of, even from that sit down earlier, kind of knows what's up. And they're just going to keep asking questions and putting their foot in it if they don't kind of expand on the goings on. Shout it louder, why don't you? Just like a spirit there. Didn't even hear her arrive. Yep, there's that aggressively peppy attitude of hers. That was quite the tonal shift, but if anyone can try and break through the tension and whatnot, it would be hers, considering she's the leader. But doing anything to try and keep her here. Such a diligent little child. Not only this situation, but the wider world at large. Let them understand at least a little what's going on. Might push things forward nicely. I wonder if at this point Rika was thinking, like, but she knew where this story was going, or did something new occur? And that's when her world collapsed. Ah, shit, we're here again. She doesn't have that shield as such. But it's also, half the abuse since the aunt isn't there as well. If that's any consolation. A story we've heard far too many times, Higurashi and outside of it. I mean, you have to think about it from that end. You can't just go breaking up families off random accusations from the public. If only there was a way of collecting evidence that can be provided. But this is back in 86? Can't remember the year this is taking place. Wow, it's been said enough. No idea. I think the fact that Rika is, has all of this and yet is still able to. I was about to say, still able to be so vulnerable and break each time it happens. But then she goes and goes, so what are you doing about it? Come on. Or what are you into? They were studying. It's very important for their upbringing. Remember what happened before. The more the merrier. That glance that he did when leaving. She's here to bring some homework. She's been missing a lot of school. It's. I don't know. Is it a law to at least have? Have at least a bit of a catch up if someone's truant for too long. Are we also going to see the protected room as well? Where there was a room for her brother that she was injuring herself to save. Funny that. But then again, do you really want her by herself to go in there when you know he's violent? Great, get more bureaucracy involved. If they just keep getting reports, it can't get ignored. I wonder if you can call in some backup, as sides of her family which could be a little proactive. Putting on the mask of everything's fine, considering the first time that she came, maybe she was just really ill, and just that's why she didn't want to take part in the games. We're getting ahead of ourselves based on information giving us. He's actually a very good care provider. And much like every good governmental organisation, well, okay, good enough for us. Better not look into it more. Oh, right, okay. Such a complicated family history and whatnot that she's went through. The boy who cried wolf kind of thing. But when someone's well-being is endangered, do you really want to just take that risk? Report them to some mental health agency at least. Let them look after her temporarily. At the very least. Keeps you on for a day or two. It's that's leftovers. That's leftovers. You don't want to see my leftovers, God. There's the fighting spirit. It's quite well played of him, though. That was a little too much for her to bear. Yeah, it needs to be cooked a bit more. I mean, trauma is one hell of a thing, and I can't remember what I said last time about it, but now can they ignore what's going on? If only that subtitle was different, it might affect this scene a little better. 83. I was off by a few. Is this advancing the same as it did before? I mean, the whole trying to pat her head and throwing up everywhere and then breaking. Yep, we've seen that before. I just hope that the information that we get about her living with her uncle isn't going to be any worse than what we already know that she goes through or went through. You know, considering how many times I've seen this play out in Higurashi, you'd think there'd be only a certain matter of times before you start becoming a little numb to it, but no. I think the day when you start or stop having a reaction to a situation like this, then you need to worry. I do well, I don't quite remember how it was animated before, but I do like this portrayal. I think it was done fairly well in her both going through stages of it, like trying to shut off and just focus on getting through, to the heavy veil of everything's fine, stop worrying, because otherwise you'll keep phoning and it'll just make my life worse. Just a crack under that strain. And yet, this is only... Is it... Can I say this is a good thing? In the wider remit of this world, her troubles won't last that much longer because, well, after all, the entire village will be gone if they don't do anything about that. So, you know, brighter things. But knowing how all the stories so far have evolved and play out, yes, it's similar, but sudden changes happen and they're no longer in the same location or involved in the same people. Like with Rena going insane, it was... I was about to say Satoshi. It was Keiichi the first time round. What happened there? Then the Mion, Shion, Demon Arc... Well, things aren't going well there. So, is this going to be another kill the uncle, hide the body? Is it going to be mob justice? Is it... Well, that would be fun. Is it going to be... since it keeps being brought up there, I'm guessing something more involved with Oichi. Got to look out for any telltale signs, but I'm not sure what I'm actually looking for. In fact, I am seeing it for the first time. You're like, I can't even... I'm trying to get my thoughts correct here. Seeing this with the post-knowledge that I have, it's such a situation, oh, it's fucked, what can we do about it, knowing what we do and who's around and what's involved. But also, the village, and the parasites, and the research, and Takano and whatnot. Can we cross-link any of it? Whereas if you didn't see that, it's... Well, this situation's fucked. Call the police. Oh, wait. Any sense of authority doesn't do jack shit about it. Well, the teacher went and had a look, I guess, so... something. But yeah, that's... It's too early for me to draw any conclusions or make any predictions about this arc. And so far from what we've seen of these stories, it's a complete toss-up anyway as to what's going on or what happens. So is there any point even trying to predict? I do wonder if Rika is going to regress at all, considering, we've already succeeded in saving the village and now she's back right into the midst of it. Knowing that it can be successful might be a good thing, but also that it took 100 years to get there and it was a fluke, a collection of miracles. She plays her role quite well in this. Doesn't really break character, I guess, too often. Are there going to be any new revelations in this series? Or season? To find out, we'll have to watch more, so if you enjoyed this one, let me know. If you leave a like on the video, it really does help me out. Try and beat the YouTube algorithm. Comment as many times as possible.
But definitely try and take care of yourselves because, well, there's more coming up and we have to be as sound mind as possible to even get through it. So if you want to make sure not to miss out, consider subscribing to the channel or jump on over to my Discord where you get notified when, hopefully, all new releases. But for now, get some rest because I want to see you for the next one. I do need to thank my patrons who are Sal, HSTR, Guado, Kite, Reds Racer, Ultra Pouring, Wolfie Sensei, Zug, and everyone else. Because thanks to them, I don't have to fear retribution from my uncle. Considering I live alone, it raised many questions. And if you would like to help protect my channel for a little bit longer so that we can continue to watch anime, consider joining onto Patreon as well.